Please give me a little lovely cracking of that back. Somebody, ladies, please, Zendaya. Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another review. This time, we are reviewing none other than the very final edition in what has been our reviews of our rewatch series of all the live-action Spider-Man movies, and now we are at the final review. This time, we have saved, hopefully, the best until last. We are reviewing none other than John Watts' Spider-Man No Way Home. My name is Cameron. My back needs cracking, Kelly Smith, because just like Tobey Maguire, I'd love a good back crack, but probably by a lady. And I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm Phil Peter 3 Cohen.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Peter 3 was the one who cracked Peter 2's back, mind you.
Oh,
but
yeah, cool. That fits then.
it works. It works. So we are here to review Spider-Man No Way Home. Obviously, this movie came out in 2021, I believe. However, we are currently doing a rewatch of all the Spider-Man movies, all the live-action ones that have been doing them week by week in cinema chains here over in the UK, and I believe also in the US. So Spider-Man No Way Home. The question is it still the event that it was a few years ago?
I have to be, I think, really harsh on this film. Like, I still enjoyed it, but it definitely was like a very different experience, like watching it for the first or even second and then third time, like in that era. Um, just like, yeah, the callbacks, the cameos, seeing like the two other Spideys, Toby and Andrew Garfield again. Um, that hit a lot more back then, and now it's like, oh, well, there they are again. Um, so I saw a lot of the flaws a little more, um, but it's still a good film. It's just, yeah, probably not as high as I held it before. Mm.
I think that also, before I forget, please, if you are new to our channel, please drop us a subscribe to listen to more of our super fun movie filled content. However, to answer your question, if you even ask one, or I'm just going to give my opinion anyway, Spider-Man No Way Home. Um, I still think that this movie to me still holds up in the
Mm.
way that I remember it. I feel like in ways sometimes you can maybe take more time with it now to appreciate it now and really listen and see what's going on now that some of that nostalgia has worn away a little bit. Even though when I was watching it today with you, I did still uh harken back in my mind to some of those moments for the first time when you see Andrew or Toby and how beautiful those moments were. I feel like this is a movie where for me the reason why I'm not as harsh on it as you is because I think that it has multiple ingredients and multiple things that happen in the movie that ticks multiple boxes as a fan. You have your nostalgia kick, you
Mm.
have your story kick, you have your classic Marvel kick. It just gives you everything. And I think that as an event movie, which this is, and also a really good chapter in the Tom Holland Peter Parker saga, as a movie that ultimately but gives us a nice tight bow on what is this origin story of this chapter of this version of Spider-Man. I think it works. I mean, let's go into a little bit of it. You said that, you didn't feel that nostalgia as much anymore. You were alluding to that, and seeing the Spider-Man again on screen. And obviously, let's point out that that is normal. Nostalgia does wear off.
Yeah.
It would be weird if in 2024 we watched 2012's Avengers and still felt the same nostalgia seeing all these characters on screen like it was back then. Obviously, this one's a bit different. However, even though the nostalgia wore off for you, did it wear off completely? Like, was it still nice to have them on screen, or did now that nostalgia did it wear off to the point where you now started to see some cracks?
I did. Okay, while the nostalgia wore off, wasn't it? And I guess a lot of that is literally because we just saw them on screen, Andrew and Toby. So it wasn't like that all those years in between, right?
In the
Um,
previous Spider-Man movies that we've been watching and
yeah,
reviewing. Yeah.
we've been watching all, reviewing all as well. There's a playlist somewhere down there. Um, so while the nostalgia wore off, it was still nice once the three were together. Because I thought you get to see that, these are all Spider-Man. They're all Peter Parker. They're all sharing this one thing that only they understand. And so it was like really lovely seeing them just interact and just sharing a little bit of like insight into what they're going through, and just because it felt like Tom Holland's Peter Parker finally had someone to connect to. I think that um, what he was looking for, and I think we discussed it in the previous one in Far From Home with Mysterio, that he's just looking for like a mentor figure, right? He's looking for like an older brother, someone that he can relate to, and now he's got two of them that know exactly what he's going through. So it was definitely great, I think, at that point to see Andrew and Toby again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the word I would give to this movie is that it's cool. Like it's just a cool movie. Like as a fan, it gives you so much. Like yeah, we have been rewatching and reviewing obviously the other live action Spider-Man movies, the ones that obviously include Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. But even for me, like it was still felt quite sentimental, obviously watching it today and seeing Toby on screen again as an older, more seasoned Peter Parker, and seeing Andrew again. Obviously we'll get into the villains, but seeing, a Doc Ock again and a Norman Osborn, which we will get to because straight off the
We
bat,
have
William
to.
Dafoe is the MVP of this movie. But it just has so it's cool. It's just like sometimes I think I do have to remind myself as a fan and as a fan of the genre of comic book movies, what I've been able to see and witness as a fan. Like we came from a time when this felt impossible,
Mm.
movies like this felt impossible. And to actually like see this on screen again, it did remind me of I can't believe what I'm watching. And not just the nostalgia, not just who we're seeing on screen, but what they're doing. Like you mentioned, seeing some of those scenes when the three Peters are having their discussions, or I referenced at the beginning of the video, when Tobey Maguire is trying to get his back cracked, and they're talking about their web food. Like these are scenes that are so well written and they're so beautiful because we have grown up seeing the character of Spider-Man and we have seen their journeys and their stories. And as you said, seeing them being able to relate to each other is really beautiful. And I gotta admit that for me in this movie, some of the best parts were those character moments. I love once again us forwarding and developing the relationship between Peter and Ned, but even more importantly, Peter and MJ. I felt like for me, this was the movie where their relationship for me really developed and I really felt it. That end scene, for example, towards
Oh yeah.
the end of the movie when he's telling her, listen, I'm gonna have to do this spell where everyone's gonna forget my name, and seeing how she was reacting off of it, I really did feel their connection there. And it was just these really beautiful character moments, even for example, his moments with Stephen Strange, like the jokes that they make, in terms of don't call me, you don't have to call me sir, it feels weird, and he calls him Stephen. He's like, that feels weird. Just these really cool moments where everyone just gels really nicely off each other. And I would say as well before I ask you another question, for a movie that has so much in it, it does actually move at a really lovely pace. And I did really appreciate that personally speaking, at least for me. Do you not agree?
So we watched the extended or more fun version, I think it's
Yeah.
called, which has like extra scenes in them. And you can really feel the extra in those scenes. Like most of those scenes, I'm like, I'm glad they cut them before. And I wonder if a lot of my uh, non-enjoyment, I guess, this time around comes from those scenes as well, because it felt a little bit more draggy. And those scenes were not as fun. So yeah, I think it actually took away from the film a little bit, and I wish they had like, just leave them cut.
I agree. I agree. Obviously, at the time when this movie came out, the idea of seeing the villains back, the idea of seeing Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and William Dafoe's Goblin, obviously, amongst others. We had Electro in there, we had
Oh yeah, there's
Sandman in there, we had Lizard. Yeah, not the the bigger ones. Even though Jamie Foxx had a much bigger role this time around, I felt his presence was a bit uh better and also more Jamie Foxx. Probably that's why. But
yeah.
how what was your thoughts on the villains in this movie?
I think I might have given it away. So I cared more about Willem Dafoe's Goblin or like Norman Osborn. Lizard, not so much. He was barely in it. Jamie Foxx's Electro. I don't know if I just didn't get into that character in this one. Like I really liked him in Amazing Spider-Man 2 because we get to like see how needy he is for just attention. And that sounds bad, but how
No,
much
I
he
get it.
wants to like connection with other people. Here it just felt maybe the Jamie Foxx of it all. Felt a little bit too normal. There wasn't anything to like latch onto, I felt. Um, so yeah, I think Sandman too. I
Mm.
as much. Um, but yeah, like having said all that, like Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe was amazing. I love everything he does. I even love that the costume they gave him with like the little purple.
Yeah,
It
little
looked
hood.
really cool. It looked really cool as well, just like shredded purple. So yeah, but yeah, that's my thoughts on the villains, I think. Bit harsh, but yeah, I'm in a harsh mood today.
William Dafoe, William Dafoe, William Dafoe. That man is the MVP of this movie. Incredible. Incredible. Not only were his that whole sequence from the moment he arrives into the apartment, into Happy's apartment, to literally then to the point of Aunt May's death, that whole sequence, it just reminded you not only is William Dafoe such a powerhouse, but him as Goblin is such a powerhouse. And it made you so happy to see that character again, because you forget that we only actually see him for one movie back in obviously the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man days. And to see him again here, the lines of dialogue, I think the way what makes it so fascinating is that he really exposes Peter to the realization that the classic line, he always chooses misery, but through his actions, even though he knows it's the right thing and he believes it's the right thing, that
Yeah.
it ultimately results in catastrophic outcomes, even if that's not his intention. And one of the lines that he says to him is, you choose morality, which is part of the problem. You make these decisions that you feel like is in the best interest of everyone, but they ultimately get people hurt. And in here, ultimately, your decision, or at least he puts it on him that, what you did here resulted in Aunt May's death. And once again, even that scene, a powerful moment, seeing Peter get his Uncle Ben, excuse me, moment.
Yeah.
And obviously chucking in the classic, with great power comes great responsibility. But
Have to be
William
there.
Dafoe's Goblin, like I was, even rewatching it again today, I was so happy to see him. He is just phenomenal. And he pretty much is the main villain.
Yeah.
But he was absolutely fantastic, fantastic. Loved it. Love seeing him.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. You mentioned the choosing misery, and I think that's why I love the final scene or like the in the donut shop where Peter does go back and he tries to find them or he finds them. And he's about to tell them, what he promised to tell them, and kind of reintroduce himself, but he decides not to. And that's his choosing misery, or at least like choosing not to be happy, I guess. And I love that for like the character because yeah, that's him like choosing for others to be happy and for him to be miserable.
Yeah.
That was nice. Although, like, what I thought at that moment is like the morality of it all. Like, is it his choice? And you mentioned like that scene between him and MJ on the roof when he tells them, "Oh, you're gonna forget me," and it's a gruesome, like horrific scene. I
Mm.
think when once you think about it, 'cause, um, she basically knows that it's coming. That she basically knows
Yeah.
he's going to forget who he is, and I mean, I'm guessing they're in love. But just
We
that
hope.
just that knowledge that you're going to forget the person you love and he's still somewhere out there, but you won't know. Um, and that is coming and there's nothing you can do about it is it's terrifying. Um,
Yeah.
but he chooses to do that, and I love his arc for that as well. That he goes from trying to change the spell and trying to like get his cake, I guess, and eat it too, to just saying, look, the best thing to do is erase everyone's memory. I'll be by myself, thank you. Um, because I have to like shoulder that responsibility.
And
Um,
you feel so sorry for him for
yeah.
choosing that because you still see this young kid, which at the time is like a 16-year-old kid still, who is dealing with now so much trauma. You know, he's lost his mentor in Tony Stark. He was completely manipulated by Mysterio. He was then, had to witness, his Aunt May dying due to obviously Goblin and now has now made this sacrifice to give up um ultimately friendship and love, and now he's on his own, and that is really sad, and you do really, and he plays it so well in Tom Holland. I think one of the things, however, that this movie will does do really great is not only did I think it really give us the gut punch that we needed for Peter to experience a really personal part of his story and arc, but it now makes you wonder where next. Obviously, this movie, kind of pretty much ties up what is at least the MCU's version of the Spider-Man origin story, and we now seem to be left with more of like, your classic Spider-Man. He's rent is due on the first of the month, as they said. And I'm very excited to see now what they do moving forward as we go into the Destin Daniel Cretton Spider-Man movies. However, anything else you want to add on Spider-Man No Way Home?
Um, I loved like I know we picked kind of Willem Dafoe as our MVP, but like the other there were some beautiful performances in there. Like Tom Holland did an amazing job. Like once he gets that anger and
Mm.
wants to kill Goblin. And when Aunt May dies as well. Um but I like that moment of Andrew Garfield. And again, we've just recently watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2, of him first like referencing Gwen and saying she was my MJ, and then getting to actually save Tom Holland's Peter, Peter's MJ, and just like his reaction to that is just,
Yeah.
I felt that. I was tearing up a little. Um, and so there was definitely great performances from a lot of people.
I mean, one question I want to ask you is obviously what your hopes are now moving forward. Now that we're looking, we're reviewing now, obviously, No Way Home, which is the final movie in this trilogy. What are your overall thoughts on this trilogy as a whole? And
Hmm.
quickly, what are your hopes for what we hopefully see now with the next round of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies? A big question, but your quick thoughts.
Yeah. So trilogy as a whole, really enjoyed it. Like I think it was the best Spider-Man trilogy. With probably Homecoming now, my favorite Spider-Man film. Um, simply because it was perfect. Uh, but yeah, like I hope, I really, really, really hope they're just keeping it grounded, at least for a little bit, for at least one film, please. Because I'd love to see Spidey just, by himself, no Avengers, no other superheroes that he can run to, just like dealing with uh, basically all that shit by himself. And it feels like that seems to be like the one that makes sense, right? Now that everyone's forgotten who he is, now that his aunt's dead, he doesn't really have anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo some of your thoughts. I think that it is the greatest Spider-Man trilogy of all time. I think it will go down as one of the best comic book trilogies of all time. I think that it's really well done. Um, I think that my expectations moving forward is that I would like to see a deep dive, a more of a deep dive into Peter Parker, but also a bit more of an exploration on this idea of Now, your classic Spider-Man, now that Peter is alone, and as you said, how he deals with that, what lies ahead, whether that be obviously, initially the post-credit in this scene was, the symbiote being left behind. If that, for example, happens to play a factor, obviously, with movies like Doomsday coming up, we don't know where we're gonna go. But I would like to now see what that looks like. I'm also very intrigued to see if he does what the relationship between him, Ned, and MJ, what happens with that. I'm very excited, and I think that as the origin trilogy, I think that this is awesome. And it kind of feels a bit bittersweet to know that we're now moving on to something new now. But just like how at the end of this movie, when Peter says bye-bye to everybody, I kind of feel like we're doing that too. So I'm excited to see where we're going next. So obviously we have a IC review system score on here. So instead of giving a movie, for example, 6 out of 10, we'll give it 6 ICs out of 10 or slush puppies, Tango Ice Plus, whatever it is that you prefer. So Spider-Man No Way Home, Mr. Phil, what will you give this movie out of 10? How many ICs?
This one's hard. Because I am, like I said, in a harsh mood. So I might go eight.
Okay.
I really enjoyed most of the bits, especially once the three Spideys are coming in, and they were great scenes that are very memorable. But there was also a lot of things that I really didn't care for, and other things that are not as funny. Like you could tell the marvelness of it a little bit more, not in a good way. Like a lot of quips that kind of took away from the seriousness of the situation. But like you said, it's also a really cool origin story for him, and we got the beats and the emotional the feels basically. So yeah, an eight. Very harsh
So
eight.
that's 8 ICs out of 10 for you. I am gonna go one above at 9 ICs out of 10. I think that this movie's awesome. I think that you can have a great time with it. It's got a lot of emotional beats. It's got a lot of really fun moments. It ticks, as I said, it ticks all the boxes for a fan. My only criticism of it would, I guess, be that I think that if this isn't the kind of superhero movie I think that you can watch regularly. It's not like a Dark Knight where you could watch it maybe once a year and still feel the same way. Then again, I haven't tested that theory, but that's kind of how I feel. So I'm gonna go with 9 ICs out of 10. I still think this ticks pretty much all the boxes, and it will still go down as one for the ages, a truly event film. So that has been our review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Once again, we are No Drama Just Movies. If you like our content here, if you like this review, please give our channel a lovely subscribe. Please like, comment, share this video. We are just two movie and TV loving friends who love to have a good chat about anything in the world related to movies and TV, and enjoy having discussions with other people as well. Obviously, this has wrapped up the end of our live action Spider-Man movie review. As we said, below you will find the links to the playlist of all our live action Spider-Man movie reviews and also our other reviews as well. We obviously just yesterday released our review of the episode 1 of The Penguin. Do check that out. You'll have a great time with that. But once again, we are No Drama Just Movies. My name is Cameron. I don't remember. I don't remember what I said. We'll edit this, but I don't remember what I said. We are No Drama Just Movies. Once again, please give our channel a lovely little subscribe. My name is Cameron, the back cracker, Kelly Smith. Please give me a little lovely cracking of that back. Somebody, ladies, please, Zendaya. And I'm joined by my amazing colleague here.
My name is Phil Peter 2 Cohen. I've been upgraded.
Ooh, well, it works that way. We are No Drama Just Movies. Thank you very much for checking out our review of Spider-Man No Way Home, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.
Right.